Recording in progress.
ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ ಹರಿಃ ಓಂ. ಶ್ರೀಕಾಂತೋ ಮಾತುಲೋ ಯಸ್ಯ ಜನನೀ ಸರ್ವಮಂಗಳ ಜನಕಃ ಶಂಕರೋ ದೇವಃ ತಂ ವಂದೇ ಕುಂಜರಾನನಂ. ಯೋऽन्तಃ ಪ್ರವಿಶ್ಯ ಮಮ ವಾಚಮಿಮಾಂ ಪ್ರಸುಪ್ತಾಂ ಸಂಜೀವಯತ್ಯಖಿಲ ಶಕ್ತಿಧರಸ್ವಧಾಮ್ನಾ ಅನ್ಯಾಂಶ್ಚ ಹಸ್ತಚರಣಶ್ರವಣತ್ವಗಾದೀನ್ ಪ್ರಾಣಾನ್ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ಪುರುಷಾಯ ತುಭ್ಯಂ. ಮೂಕಂ ಕರೋತಿ ವಾಚಾಲಂ ಪಂಗುಂ ಲಂಘಯತೆ ಗಿರಿಂ ಯತ್ಕೃಪಾತಮಹಂ ವಂದೇ ಪರಮಾನಂದಮಾಧವಂ. ಶ್ರೀಹರಯೇ ನಮಃ. ಶ್ರುತಿಸ್ಮೃತಿಪುರಾಣಾನಾಂ ಆಲಯಂ ಕರುಣಾಲಯಂ ನಮಾಮಿ ಭಗವತ್ಪಾದಶಂಕರಂ ಲೋಕಶಂಕರಂ. It's a verse on Shankaracharya, probably written during the time of Shankara himself, because there are several verses that we see in the works of his disciples. In a verse by Sureshwaracharya, it says Nityanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyaadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Truguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadashankaram Lokashankaram. The verse is Yad Vaktra Manasa Saraha Pratilabdha Janma Bhashyaravinda Makaranda Rasam Pibanti Pratyasa Munmukha Vinita Vineya Bringaha Tan Bhashya Vittaka Gurun Pranamami Murdhana. This is a verse of Sureshwaracharya. Today is Shankara Jayanti. That is the reason why I took the topic of Shankaracharya initially, to pay homage for him for the first few minutes of today's satsang. Tomorrow is Ramanuja Jayanti. All the four disciples of Shankara Bhagavad Padacharya, great acharyas by themselves. Sureshwaracharya, Hastamalaka, Totakacharya and Padmapada. It is said that they both exemplified themselves in four different characteristics. Hastamalaka was a born jnani. He could not see anything different even with the difference of the world. That is how Hastamalaka was. So he was somebody who exemplified in jnanam. Padmapada was somebody who exemplified bhakti. Because when Shankara called him from the other side of Ganges, he immediately runs on the water, and it is said that lotus flower just sprang up on a running river to hold his feet. A very interesting episode which shows the bhakti of Padmapadacharya. Sureshwaracharya comes from the karma marga, where he was such a karmanishtha, and then he understood the role of karma, and he wrote a book called Naishkarmya Siddhi, where how to transcend karma. So he shows the importance of adhering to karma and to transcend it when it is appropriate. And then comes, so bhakti, jnana, karma is all over. Then what else? The final is Sharanagati, where Totakacharya is someone who was just engaged in the service of the Guru more than anything else. And it seems there was a small comment that was made during a class when Totaka hadn't arrived and Shankara started the class, and hadn't started the class. He was waiting for Totaka, and then probably some disciples were, what does it make a difference whether this guy comes or not? He's not going to understand anything. At that point of time, Shankara is said to have looked at Totakacharya, and he sprang up with a beautiful poem called Totaka Ashtakam, 8 beautiful verses. Vidhita kila shastra sudha jaladhe mahitopanishad kathithartha nidhe Hridaye kalaye vimalam charanam bhavashankara deshikame sharanam. There are 8 verses, And they have a beautiful refrain called Bhava Shankara Deshika Me Sharanam. And in one of the verse out of the 8, he says, Bhavata Janata Suhita Bhavita Nija Bodha Vicharana Charumate Kalayeshwara Jiva Vivekamidam Bhava Shankara Deshika Me Sharanam. This this meter is called Totakam, and because he composed in this meter, it is called Totaka Ashtakam. And there is one other verse called Shrutisara Samudharanam, composed in the same verse pattern, in the metric pattern of this Totaka by this Acharya called Totaka Acharya. So the meaning of this verse is Bhavata Janata Suhita Bhavita Nija Bodha Vicharana Charumate Kalayeshwara Jiva Vivekamidam Bhava Shankara Deshika Me Sharanam. He Charumate. Mati means buddhi. Charumati means somebody with a beautiful intellect. People name women as Charumati. Very popular name in the olden days. Nowadays people don't name that. Charumati means beautiful intellect. Hey Charumate. He's addressing the Guru as, hey Guru, you are somebody with a beautiful intellect. Charumate. Why does he say that? Bhavata Janata Suhita Bhavita. Bhavata, by you, Janata, all the people of this world, Suhita Bhavita. You have done a great hitam. You have done a great service to this world. Suhita Bhavita. All the people of this world have attained a great benefit because of you. What is that benefit? He says that in the form of a prayer. He says, hey Charumate, you have made a great, you have given great benefit for this world, and I'm asking you, Kalaya, Bodhaya, you teach me, Kalaya Ishvara Jiva Vivekam Idam. Idam Vivekam. This discrimination, what is that discrimination? The nature of a jiva, of an individual, and the nature of an Ishvara. So the nature of an jiva is kinchitnya. We have karma. We are people with a lot of vasanas. We have a lot of limitations. We have papa. We have punya. We have a certain physical characteristic. We have a certain demeanor. All that comes with this package called a human being or an animal or anything, any creature as such. And then these are all jivas. And then somebody who is not like this is Ishvara. He is Sarvajna, Sarvasharanya, Sarvantaryami, Sarvashaktaha, all that. He is like omniscient, omnipotent, all powerful. That person is beyond karma. He is the karma phala data for everybody. This Kalaya Ishvara Jiva Viveka. What is that Viveka? Viveka is a very beautiful thing here. He says, hey, if you take Sarvajna, Sarvashakta, Sarvasharanya, Sarvantaryamitva, the Gunan of Ishvara away from him and see what it is pure consciousness. And if you say, hey, I am a limited person, this is my complexion, this is my height, this is my weight, this is my tendencies, all that away from you, what purely remains is pure consciousness. So that consciousness of that Ishvara and this consciousness of the Jiva, that Chit, Sat, Chit, Atma of Ishvara and the Sat, Chit, Atma of Jiva are one and the same. It is that Atma of Ishvara is the same Atma of the Jiva. So Kalayeshwara Jiva Vivekamidam. How does that jnana come forth? Only by surrendering. Kalayeshwara Jiva Vivekamidam Bhava Shankara Deshikame Sharanam. I take refuge onto that Shankara. This was a poem that was written during the time of Shankara. It looks like that. We don't know for sure. But that is how tradition has looked at it. Let us put it that way. So that is how tradition has looked at it. And it is a very beautiful poem. If you have the poem, it is very popular. You can find it on the internet. If you already know it, yeah, it is well and good. If not, it is just 8 verses, and it is worth dwelling on those 8 verses and just chanting those 8 verses because it is very beautiful. Bhavata janata suhita bhavita nijabodha vicharana charumate kalayeshwara jiva vivekamidam bhava shankara deshika me sharanam. With that surrender, let's go to Bhagavad Gita, because the greatest tribute that you can give Shankaracharya on his Jayanti is really reading Bhagavad Gita and his Bhashyam. Because any other thing that we do, we can put a picture and do puja and all that. That is also very important. We never belittle that actually. But the most important thing, as Thotakacharya said, Kalaya, Bodhaya, teach me. So engaging in that teaching and learning, that requires a certain level of paripaka, and glad Bhagavan has given all of that so that will let us engage in Bhagavad Gita. So we are in Karma Sannyasa Yoga, where Bhagavan is saying what is the nature of action and what is the nature of actionlessness, and what is the nature of a lifestyle with action, and what is the nature of a lifestyle where you give up most of the action that is needed other than just sustaining the body. So karma yoga, the lifestyle of action is generally put as yoga, and the lifestyle of renunciation is put as sankhya. So between Sankhya and Yoga is where there is a lot of confusion for Arjuna, and Bhagavan is clarifying it as and when he approaches one topic after another. And one of the topics that he said was, hey, Ishvara is not engaged with any of the Papa Punyas. Vibhuhu Ishvaraha na adatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu. He is not engaged. He does not take your papam or he does not take your punyam. He is not interested in all that. Only the ajnana that a jiva has, ajnanena avritam jnanam tena, because of that only muhyanti, deluded, jantavaha, the people of this world. All creatures are deluded because of the ignorance that they have of the self. It is not because that Ishvara gives papa and punya towards different people. So Ishvara is not the cause of my ignorance. So now comes a question. So if you say that Ishvara does not take into account good or bad, then why be righteous? So there is a lot of Shruti, Smriti, Itihasa, Purana, everything Satyam, Vada. Why? If Ishvara is not interested in me being a Satyasandha, why then? So that is a Purva Paksha for the next verse. Let us read the next verse. Ganesh, do you want to read with me, please?
Sure.
Okay. Jnane tu tadajnanam.
Jnanena tu tadajnanam.
Yesham nashitamatmanaha.
Yesham nashitamatmanaha.
Tesham madityavad jnanam.
Tesham adityavat jnanam.
Prakashayati tatparam.
Prakashayati tatparam.
Jnanena tu tadajnanam. Yesham nashitamatmanaha. Teshamadityavad jnanam.
Prakashayati tatparam.
Bhagavan says, Jnanena tu tat ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tat param. Those are the words. Jnanena tu tat ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tat param. What does it mean? Jnanena, by wisdom. Jnanena means by jnana. Jnanena tu, but tat, that, ajnanam, ignorance. Nashitam is destroyed. Jnanena tu ajnanam nashitam. By wisdom, ignorance is destroyed. Atmanaha. Ignorance of what? Atmanaha. Of the nature of the self. Of the nature of Atma. Atmanaha ajnanam jnanena nashitam. Okay. Yesham, for whom? Tesham, for whom? Jnanam, knowledge, prakashayati, reveals itself, tat param, the highest, adityavat, like the sun. Jnanena tu tat ajnanam yesham nashayati atmanaha tesham adityavat, like the sun, the rising sun, prakashayati tat param, that the highest, tat paraha, paraha means the highest, that knowledge which is the highest shines forth like the sun and removes the ignorance of the Atma, and Atma shines by itself. So Bhagavan says, shining like the sun, knowledge reveals the supreme Atma in everyone, in whom ignorance is destroyed by self-knowledge. There is a lot of looping there, but we'll see what it is. Jnanena tu yena ajnanena avritaha muhyanti jantavaha tat ajnanam yesham jantunam viveka jnanena atma vishayena nashitam. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me move. Nashitam. Okay. Atmanaha bhavati. Bhagavan says, Ajnanena avritam jnanam. Ignorance covers self-knowledge. Jnanena tu yena ajnanena avritaha muhyanti jantavaha. How does that ignorance go away? Jnanena. By knowledge, tu yena ajnanena avritaha muhyanti jantavaha. That ignorance which is causing all of us to not know the nature of the self goes away by jnana. Tat ajnanam yesham jantunam viveka jnanena. What is the viveka? Jnanena, by the knowledge of the self. The ignorance that made me realize that I am not the self, that goes away by jnana. That ignorance is dispelled by what? Discrimination. Viveka jnanena. By viveka jnana. What is that viveka jnana? Atma anatma vastu viveka. The discrimination between that which is an object of perception and the perceiver, and knowing that these two are different. See, it is a very important problem that I have. So I see the body, but I count myself as the body. But I perceive the body. The perceiver me is different by this body, but still I see me, the body, as me. So that is a problem. That is a ajnana. If that ajnana goes away, then you see your nature as different, the body's nature as different. The body's nature is, it goes through asti, jayate, vardhate, parinamate, apakshiyate, nashyati. That's the cycle in which any matter principle goes. It is there, then it grows, then it modifies itself, then it changes, and finally it decays. That is something that is not me. That the real me is different from the body. So that knowledge is called viveka. So Viveka Jnanena, this Viveka is a crest jewel. It is a beautiful jewel. That is the reason why one of the works of Shankara is called Viveka Chudamani. This Viveka is what is the subject matter of the entire book. It is a very big book. And you would have seen, it is a very popular book too, Viveka Chudamani. You would have heard the name very often in many of the Vedantic circles. Viveka Jnanena, by that Viveka Jnana. So Atma Vishaya, Atma Vishayena Nashitam. Atmanaha Bhavati. Tesham Jantunam. Can you give me an example for this? I can give you an example. Like how the light shows all shapes and forms, like that Jnana Prakasha, the ultimate truth, makes all of it known to you. Tesham Jantunam Adityavat. Yata Adityaha Samastam Rupam Jatam Avabhasati Tadvat Jnanam Jneyam Vastu Sarvam Prakashayati Tat Param Paramartha Tattvam. So he gives an example. Once the sun dawns, and when sunlight is there, everything becomes clear. Like that clarity that the sun brings, the same way Jnana brings the clarity as to who am I. So this is a very Advaita para shloka. Somehow it came in today's satsang with Shankara Jayanti. That is a beautiful thing to contemplate on. Jnanena tu tadajnanam yesham nashitamatmanaha tesham adityavajnanam prakashayati tatparam. So that is the meaning of the verse and the bhashya. Jnanena tu yena ajnanena avritaha muhyanti jantavaha tat ajnanam yesham jantunam viveka jnanena atma vishayena nachitam atmanaha bhavati tesham, for them, jantunam adityavat, like the sun, yata adityaha samastam rupajatam avabhasati, like how all the names and forms are made clear by the sun, tadvat, like that, jnanam jneyam vastu, jneya vastu, the one who is the knower, that jneya vastu sarvam prakashayati. So it makes that nature of the knower very clear. Tat param, paramartha tattvam. That knowledge is the paramartha tattva. That needs to be known. The ultimate truth to be known is that, and only knowledge reveals that, says Krishna Bhagavan. So one thing is, that this verse brings is, the problem of samsara can go away only with jnana. Jnanameva samsara nasha karanam is well established in this verse by Bhagavan. The comparison with the sun is to show that no other light is needed when there is sunlight. Same way, the knowledge of the self is needed to remove ignorance, and no other knowledge is needed. So some similes can be applied between the sun and the Atma Jnana, but that is all like extrapolation. As long as we understand, even Shankaracharya does not extrapolate; he just presents as it is. So, we know how does that jnana occur? See, that is the question that as a sadhaka we ask, and the answer we know is the mind need to be turned inwards, because the mind is always outside with the sense organs. The mind is engaged with the senses, and the sense go grab the world, and the sense objects, the worldly objects become the objects of the senses, and we are constantly engaged. And this engagement of the sense is really getting very interesting as time progresses, because like there were 40-50 minute videos in YouTube at one point of time. Now we have shorts for 3 to 5 seconds that grab your attention. Even in olden days, a big 40-minute program was something, but the advertisement that would come for like say 30 seconds was much more interesting. So the attention span of individuals is going down because the senses are constantly engaged in the world, wanting something more different all the time. So when we are done with all that, and when we take the mind away from the sense organs, turn it inwards and say what is the source of the mind, and then when the mind itself goes back and goes into the source of the mind by Guru Atma Prasada. This phrase comes in Shankara Bhashyam many times. Guru Atma Prasada. By the power of the grace of the Upadesha of the Guru alone, the mind turned inwards. See, we think that we have the ability to turn mind inwards by ourselves. That is all only by a Mahatma. But when you go, say, many have traveled to places where mind automatically turn inwards. That is the reason why Himalayas is considered as a Deva Bhumi, where automatically your mind travels inwards because of this surrounding. So some level of surrounding is needed in the initial stages. Then after that, once you become a great yogi, then even in the marketplace you can meditate. But that is a different state. For initial sadhaka, a certain spiritual routine, a certain surrounding, a certain level of meditation, a certain level of yoga that helps with the physical conditioning, all that is needed. Along with that, study of scripture is also needed, because many a times people who are engaged in this are not interested in that, and people who are interested in that are not interested in this. So it is like missing one key portion in a meal. You need carb, fat, protein, all of it in a meal with the minerals and other ingredients. Like that, we cannot just miss one. So these are all spiritual ingredients needed for a good spiritual meal. So that with that, all this is not said in the verse. I'm just mentioning the previous steps that are needed to get to that level of jnanam. So by that time, the mind becomes clear and it shines like the sun, Adityavat. So now Bhagavan wants to show that. Bhagavan wants to show what is the process by which you can get to that. Let us read the next verse. Yat param jnanam prakashitam. Like, how does that jnana prakasha come forth? Let us see what Bhagavan says. Gayatri ji, do you want to read with me, please?
Your
Tadbuddhayaha tadatmanaha tannishtaha tatparayanaha. Yeah, it is one word. The entire half of the shloka is one samasa pada. Tadbuddhayastadaatmanaha tannishtastatparayanaha.
Tannishtannitpadayanaha. I think I'm not getting it.
No. Tannishtaha tatparayanaha. Tannishtastatparayanaha. Yeah. Gachanti apunaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Tadbuddhayastadaatmanastanishtastatparayanaha gacchantya punaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. tad buddhayah. Intellect, it absorbed in that. Tat buddhayah. Buddhi, intellect is there, in there. Where? We'll see. Tad buddhayah. Intellect is in that. Tat atmanaha. Who identifies in that. Tat eva atma iti jnana sampannaha. So whoever identifies with that, tadatmanaha, tannishthaha, who are established in that, whose nishtha is in there, tannishthaha, tat parayanaha, who has it as their goal, param ayanam. The Bhashya is going to say that. Param, who has the goal set as that. So they have the goal set properly, they have all their efforts set properly, their mind is set there, their intellect is set there. If that, all that is there, then gachanti, they go, they attain. Punaravrittim, they attain a state of no return. They attain a state of no return. Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha, those whose kalmasha or papa or sin have been dispelled by the knowledge. Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. So who have established themselves, whose intellect is absorbed in there, who identifies themselves with Atma, who are established in that Atma, who have set Atma as their goal, they attain the state of non-return, those whose sins have been dispelled by knowledge. Lot of things said by Krishna. Tad buddhayaha, tat atmanaha, tannishtaha, tat parayanaha gachanti apunaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. So if you want to attain that jnanam, hey Arjuna, you have to have these characteristics. So we always see that the lakshana of a jnani is the prescription or sadhana for a ajnani. So for me, this is a prescription. For a jnani, this is the lakshana. This is the characteristic. Okay. So tasmin brahmani gata buddhi yesham te tad buddhayaha. Whose intellect understands that his nature is Atma, whose mind is well established in Brahman. Tasmin Brahmani gata buddhi yesham te tad buddhaya. Okay, simple. Tat atmanaha, that is their Atma. Tadeva param Brahma, that is the param Brahma. Atma, my Atma. Yesham, for whom? Te tadatmanaha, they are called tadatmanas. So Bhagavan says tadbuddhayaha, tadatmanaha, tannishtaha, tatparayanaha. 4 characteristics. So tadbuddhayaha, whose buddhi is well established in there. Tadatmanaha, they understand the fact that, so it is not an intellectual understanding, it is a realization. That is when it gets to tadbuddhayaha, to tadatmanaha, then it is not something that I have for 15 minutes and then it goes away. It's not a yogic state. Jnana, it's, do I know that I am Arvind? I know that I am Arvind. It's not a yogic state for me. I know that all the time. No matter whether you ask me today, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I know who I am. So that is the reason why Bhagavan says, tannishtaha, abhiniveshaha, तात्पर्यं सर्वाणि कर्माणि सन्न्यस्य तस्मिन् ब्रह्मणि एव अवस्थानं तेषां ते तन्निष्ठाः. Nishtha, abhiniveshaha, they have entered there to that state. What? Tatparyam sarvani karmani sanyasya, they have given up all karmas and brahmanyeva avasthanam yesham, they are well established in Brahman alone. Te tannishtaha, they are called tannishtaha. Tat parayanascha, how is that they attain that state? Because they have set that as their goal. तदेव परम अयनम परागतिहि येषां भवति ते परायणाः केवल आत्मरतय इत्यर्थः. They are called atmaratayah. They delight in atma. Atma krida atmaratihi. Brihataranyaka Upanishad. Yesham jnanena nashitam. For them, this jnana atmanaha ajnanam nashitam. The ignorance that they have has been destroyed. These people gachanti. Evam vidaha apunaravrittim. Where there is no return. Avritti means another cycle. Punaha avritti means another cycle. Another cycle. Another cycle. Iterative loop. Apunaravrittihi. There is no more looping around. Punar deha sambandha. What it means that there is no more body for them. They do not need to associate with another body. Deha sambandha vihinaha. Why? Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Knowledge has destroyed their kalmasha. All the papam yatoktena jnanena nudhutaha nashitaha kalmashaha. What is kalmasha? Papadi samsara karana doshaha. That which is the cause of this samsara bondage, which is papa and punya. Papam upalakshanena punyam api. When you say papam, punyam is also included in that. Yesham, for whom te, those, jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha, they are yatayaha. Shankaracharya says these are all great sannyasis. Yatayaha ityarthaha. Yati. So he'll use sannyasi or jnani at different terms, but here he used yatayaha. So the goal is atma, the self is atma, and their focus is also atma. For them, this destroys all the kalmasha, and because it destroys all the kalmasha, then they are free of the need to be reborn again and again and get associated with a body. This problem is solved for them. Okay, so we need to cover at least 3 verses. Okay, so the Bhagavan, the emphasis here is on the purity of the mind, setting the goal properly and traveling to the goal correctly and attaining the goal that frees you from the need to be born again and again. That's all. Tad buddhayaha, tadatmanaha, tannishtaha, tatparayanaha, ye te gachanti apunaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Jnanena nirdhuta kalmashaha. Again, the emphasis here is jnanameva samsara nasha karanam. Jnanameva moksha karanam. That is established by Krishna again and again and again and again. Because, see, one thing I'll tell you that is very interesting. Because today is Shankar Jayanti and tomorrow is Ramanuja Jayanti. And there are so many acharyas that say Jnanadeva Kaivalyam is the proclamation of Advaita Siddhanta. In other Siddhantas, it is not as though Jnanadeva Kaivalyam is disputed. Nobody disputes that. It is a very interesting thing. Even though Ramanujacharya will say Sharanagati is the ultimate way by which you can easily attain Bhagavan, the key phrase being easily attain Bhagavan, because what they will say is that Sharanagati will give you the purity of the mind, that purity of the mind will generate something that, and then that, and finally then jnanam occurs. And what the jnanam, again there is a small difference. It's not the tatu tvamasi jnanam, but it's a different jnanam. But only if that jnanam occurs, there is moksha even in Visishta Advaita. There is no moksha for an ajnani in any siddhanta. Always jnanameva kaivalya karana. So that is accepted all through. What that jnanam is it's slightly different. This is a little philosophical, probably more than what we need to know, but I just thought I would mention that. So it is not as though anybody disputes that jnana is the cause of samsara nivritti. येषां ज्ञानेन नाशितम् आत्मनः अज्ञानं ते पंडिताः कथं तत्त्वं पश्यन्ति इत्युच्यते. How do those wise men see the truth? Those panditaha, how do they look at the world? Bhagavan says, very interesting, very beautifully he says. Swati ji, are you available to read?
Yes, Sakuji.
Yeah, let's read. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
Brahmane Gavi Hastini
Brahmane Gavihastini
Shuni Chaiva
Shuni Chaiva
Shvapake Cha
Shvapake Cha
Panditaha
Panditaha
Samadarshinaha
Samadarshinaha
Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini
Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Panditaha Samadarshinaha.
Beautiful verse. It is often quoted in different places to to show the outlook of a jnani towards the world. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha. In all this, Panditaha, the one who knows Atma, Samadarshinaha, he views them all as equal. So what are all the things that he sees equal? Let us see. All the ones that have so many different characteristics, he sees one Atma in all of them. That is the Tatparya. Okay. So Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Sampanne. Sampannaha is somebody who has it. Sampanne, upon one who is endowed with learning and humility. Vidya is learning and humility is Vinaya. Like that, if you have that, then you are a Brahmana. Okay. It's Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. In a Brahmana who has good knowledge and good humility in him, upon such a person, and Gavi, Gauhu is a cow. Gavi is on a cow. Gavi. Hastini, on a hasti, means elephant. That is where you know Shankaracharya is from Kerala. Because Bhagavan says Hastini, so even there is a lot of elephant on the other side of Yamuna. So both of them are from regions of elephants. Brahmane, Gavi, Hastini. In the other places too, immediately Sangadahas and Patahas and Hasti. So whatever you see most of the time will come to your memory. That is what it is. And for Krishna, cows came first. After a Brahmana, a cow came first because he's a Gopala. Brahmane, Gavi, Hastini, Shuni Chaiva. Shuni means a dog. Okay, Shuni. Shvapaka is pakam. Pakam means eat, who cooks and eats. Pakam karoti. Pakam kim pakam karoti? Shuni pakam karoti shvapaka. People who eat dog meat. They are all called shvapakas. Panditaha. Panditaha means the one who knows Atma. Panda Atma Vishayaha. The first word of Upadesha of Bhagavan is Ashocyan Anvachocastvam Pragyavadanscha Bhashase Gatasun Agatasunscha Nanushocanti Panditaha. That Panda Atma Vishaya. Balye. There was a Brihadaranyaka Shruti that was quoted by Shankaracharya in the second chapter. We saw all that initially. So, Pandita is not a. Generally, the word Pandita occurs in many Indian languages. It just means that somebody who is very learned. Here, it doesn't mean that he is learned. He is somebody who knows. Panda means Atma. He is a knower of Atma, meaning he is a realized person. So, a realized person, what does he do? Samadarishinaha. He sees equality. Behold, he beholds the same self. He beholds the Atma in a learned Brahmin or a cow or an elephant or a dog meat eater. In all of this, whether it be a Brahmin endowed with learning and humility, or a cow or an elephant or a dog, or even with an outcast who eats dog meat, the wise beholds the same self in all of them. They are able to see beyond the physical differences, that Atma is the same in all of this. Let us look at the Bhashyam. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Vidya cha Vinayascha, Vidya Vinaya. There are two things. One is Vidya and the other is Vinaya. Okay? Vinaya, Upashamaha. Upashama is he's one with discipline. Okay? Tabhyam Vidya Vinayabhyam Sampannaha. He has both that qualities. Vidya Vinaya Sampannaha, Vidwan, Vinitascha, Yo Brahmanaha. That Brahmana who has these qualities. Tasmin Brahmane, upon that Brahmana, Gavi, Hastini, Shunichaiva, Shwapake cha Panditaha, Samadarishinaha. Pandita is the one who knows Atma, sees all of this, a dog, an elephant, cow, all of it, and a human being with a lot of intellect and humility as one and the same Atma. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, and the Bhashyakara says, why is these examples given? Shankaracharya points out, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Uttama Samskaravati Brahmane Satvike. Great samskaras come to a person because of Sattva Guna. Okay? So, the person with these characteristics is because he is Sattvic. Madhyamayam cha Rajasyam Gavi. There is a Rajasic tendencies with some animals like cow. Samskara Hinayam Atyantameva Kevala Tamase Hastyadau cha. Then there are examples given for completely tamasic pranis. So, with all, like the elephant and the dog and dog eater and so on. So, Satvadi gunaihi tajjaischa samskaraihi tata rajasaihi tata tamasaischa samskaraihi atyantameva asprishtam samam ekam. In all these rajasa, tamasa, sattvikas are all gunas. Okay? Gunaha guneshu vartante, says Bhagavan. So, these gunas are all different. It's not as though you cannot see gunas as the same. No. He says something that is beyond the gunas. The Atma that is beyond the gunas. So, asprishtam, that which is not touched by these gunas, samam. It is the same. Ekam. It is one and the same. It is not as though there are different things. Ekam. Avikriyam. There is no kriya in that. Because there are, so this is a little bit of Nyaya Shastra. 2 minutes of Nyaya Shastra. Okay. There will be some need for it later on in Bhagavad Gita. That's why I'm putting it here. A Visesha is something in the Nyaya Shastra that makes two things different from each other. Say, cow is a category, but then you know the difference between one cow and another cow, one dog and another dog when they walk dogs. Many of you might have pets as well. So there is a difference. This poodle is my poodle versus that poodle is your poodle. There is a difference. But why? There is some characteristic that is different between these two. And why is that characteristic? Because there is a kriya in it. And because that is true even with two electrons. Say if there are two electrons, actually everything is it's the same energy principle that is there in the electron as how an electron functions and everything. But this electron is different from that electron actually when it goes around. not just when it goes around, all the time. So that is called Visesha in Nyaya Shastra. And that is because there is some activity in that. Then there is Kriya in it. And because there is no Kriya in Atma, Avikriyam, Tatu Brahma, Drashtum Sheelam Yesham. They have the capability to see that Atma beyond these differences. That is the state of a Jnani. Te Panditaha. That Pandita is a Samadarishi. He is somebody who is a Samadarishi, who is able to see everybody equally. So, this ability to see somebody equally, Bhaktaha me priyaha, Bhagavan will give all the characteristic of a jnani and say, Yo me bhaktaha same priyaha. That bhakta is the most dear to me. These are all the lakshanas of a bhakta and a jnani. These are not two different people. A bhakta is a jnani. Sant Jnaneshwar wanted to sing a lot of abhangs. In fact, he wanted to sing Shatakoti Abhanga. So he used to go to some secluded person. His intention is not to compose and give it to everybody and be popular, sing in concerts or anything like that. He just wanted to sing it to Vitthala, who was there everywhere for him. So beautifully, Jnana, that was a separate episode that happened in his life. Initially, he thought Vitthala is only in the mandir. Then he realized, Hende Vitthala, Munde Vitthala, Yadage Vitthala, Valage Vitthala. Vitthala is everywhere. Jagadantaryami, Vitthala, I forgot, it's a Kannada song. Not by Namadeva, but there are abhangs by Namadeva like that too. This song is by Purandar Dasa. Jnaneshwara realizes Panduranga is everywhere. So he always prefers seclusion and sings abhangs, very beautiful abhangs. He composes them. It is just that he is expressing his joy as a jnani. That's all there is to it. That ananda that comes out with that jnana comes out as poems for Jnaneshwara. He wanted to sing Shatakoti, 100 crores of abhangs. He once went into on top of a hill in a mountain where there is no physical disturbance with anybody around him. And he started singing abhangs. But Rajai, Namadeva's wife, was somebody who will not take food until Namadeva eats. Women of those days. So she searched for him for hours together, finally found him, and then she brought hot rotis packed with ghee, because that's all they could afford. They had cows in their house, so they would milk, and then with milk, all milk products will be available to a certain extent. Other than that, some atta will be available. Not a lot of subsidies and stuff like that, because they were very poor. So she brought a couple of rotis and a little bit of ghee, and said, and gave it to Namadeva and said, "You eat." She was waiting. He was singing, and then it started becoming dark. She had to go home, feed the children, take care of her mother-in-law. There is hundreds of work that is waiting for him. He cannot. She is not bestowed with the nature of a Namadeva where she can be secluded like this. She has work to do. So she was like, "Bhagavan, please eat. I have to go back." And then he was like, "Rajai, I cannot eat now. You know why? I see all of it as Panduranga now. Where is the person who is to eat and where is the food? Annam Brahma, Bhokta Brahma. Everything is Brahman for me. Everything is Vitthala for me. I cannot eat. I will come down from that level of consciousness at one point of time. Then I will eat. Don't worry. You go home. I will eat. I'll promise you I will eat. You go." She went with half-heartedness. Then he starts singing. After some time, there comes a dog which is very hungry. It picks the roti and starts running. Namadeva gets, once he finishes a song, he'll look up in ecstasy. When he looked up and then he saw that roti is missing, and then he sees that the dog is carrying the roti. Then the ghee, she put a small leaf cup and put ghee in it and left it there. So he takes that leaf cup ghee and then goes behind the dog. The dog starts running. He also runs behind the dog and then finally catches that dog and says, Panduranga, how can you eat dry rotis? I will feed you with the ghee because it needs to be, or else you will choke to death. I will feed you. And he starts applying ghee to that roti and starts feeding the dog. Shuni, as indicated by Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita. Suddenly, the form of the dog disappears and there stands Panduranga, Neelamega Shamala Pitambaradhari, Katinyasta Hastaha, Sundarate Dhyana Ubha Vitevari, Karakathavali, and that beautiful form of Panduranga manifests there in where the dog was. And Panduranga says, hey Namadeva, no matter what form I take, you are able to find out because you have the ability to see all of it as Atma. So this is a very beautiful episode recorded by in the abhangs of contemporary people who lived during the time of Namadeva. And again, in the Bhakta Vijaya, in that book also this episode is given. And even in our times, Bhagavan Ramana was a great example. If you have been to Ramana Ashram, you will see a samadhi for a cow, Lakshmi. Bhagavan thought that is a jnani living inside the body of a cow. He saw a jnani there and he made that jiva as a jnani. And even crow, you will see a samadhi for a crow. You will see a samadhi for a dog. All this mentioned in Bhagavad Gita is there in Ramana Ashram as well. Once Ramana Bhagavan's mother Aragammal came and started living with Bhagavan himself. She first came, tried to take him back home, but then she realized this is not an ordinary person. He's a great saint. Probably we are the ones who need to move with him and get something out of this birth. She realizes all that, but then she's a very orthodox Brahmin lady. So cooking is a big thing for them. So they won't touch anything. There is a lot of rules that go into this. They won't eat that. They won't eat this. If somebody eats a little bit of the food that has been already cooked, they won't eat the rest. That is called sesha. So many rules. One day, there were a lot of hunters who were just hunting around with their dogs, and they all came to Ramana Bhagavan and said, Bhagavan, we are all very hungry. Bhagavan called his mother and said, the food you have cooked, bring it and distribute it to all these people. And his mother said, if I give these people, then I have to go take bath again, then get fresh groceries again, and then cook, then only I can eat. And with my age, if I do that, I might even die. What are you talking about? How can I partake on the food that has been cooked? Bhagavan says, who do you think are all standing here? It is Arunachaleshwara who has come in different forms. That statement of Bhagavan went into Aragamma like a thunderbolt. She realizes that vision, the change in vision cannot be had by reading books. It has to come only through the grace of a Mahatma. Bhagavan blesses her to have that vision then and there. At that point of time, Aragammal goes, gets the food, happily distributes and eats the rest as prasadam. So what the association of a jnani and the upadesha of a jnani can bring for that. And I'll quickly mention two other very interesting episodes related to this verse. One is that of Jnaneshwara, another great Mahatma. When Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi means a cow. In Paitan is a Vidya Kendra. It is like a great place of learning where there are so many learned scholars. Jnaneshwara with Nivritti, Sopana, Muktabai and all go there, and then there is a debate with them as to who is a Brahmana, who is a Brahmavit, who is a knower of Brahman. And Jnaneshwara puts the idea that whoever can see Atma everywhere, Brahman everywhere, is the true Brahmavit. Then the scholar says, look, there is somebody who is going on the street with a buffalo. And he says, you can debate with me like this. Can the buffalo debate with me like this? That Brahmana can recite the Vedas like this. Do you think the buffalo can recite a Vedic verses? What are you talking about? How can all this be how can you see similarity, the same self in all these things? These are all different things in this world. Of course, the physical differences are not the same, but Jnaneshwara thought he'll play a trick on them. So he says, hey, if you see everything as different, yes, there is difference. I accept. But if you see everything as Vittala, then it is Vittala alone. Then they say, so then you make the buffalo Vittala say Vedas. And then he says, why not? He prays to the buffalo and says, hey Vittala, recite the Vedas. He touches it. Immediately that buffalo starts reciting Vedic verses. They all get scared and run away. He just performs a miracle. This is just a miracle actually. The Samadarshana is not that actually. But just to prove the point, Jnaneshwara makes a Samadarshana. We'll conclude with one other episode of Shankara Bhagavad Pada. Today Shankara Jayanti, we started with Shankara Bhagavad Pada. We'll conclude the satsang with Shankara. Once Shankara Bhagavad Pada and his disciples were coming after their morning rituals and bath from the Ganges up the stairs, because Ganges, if you have been to Kashi, there are a lot of stairs that you have to come down and go up. There was a Chandala, like how it is mentioned is Swapakaha. Normally you don't eat the meat of their pets itself. That is a little level of humanity that you see with human beings. Like pets they don't. But then when you go down a level, then you cook and eat the pet in itself. It just shows that level of the people in this society. He was traveling with a couple of dogs. He was extremely dirty. He was coming across. And then disciples of Shankara ask him, hey, Chandala, Apasara, you go away. Acharya has to go up. So as though like Acharya is very pure and this guy is all impure, they were like, go away. At that point of time, that Chandala asks, what are you asking to go move away? Are you asking this matter principle, the body to move away or the Atma to move away? If you are asking the Atma to move away, where is Atma? How can Atma move away? As you see in the Bhashyam, Atma is avikriyam. There is no kriya. There is no movement in Atma. If you say matter, really matter always decays. Your matter principle body also decays, mine also decays. It is all made out of flesh, blood and skin. What is the difference there? It is also the same. It is all dirty. If you say something is dirty, everything is dirty. If you say something is not dirty, from an Atma perspective, everything is pure. What pure and impurity are you seeing to me to move? And if I identify with Atma, where do I move? At that point of time, Shankaracharya goes and touches his feet and says, Chandalostu satu dvijostu guruhu iti yesha manisha mama. This is the refrain, and there are beautiful verses called Manisha Panchakam. 5 beautiful verses called Manisha Panchakam. You can read it at your leisure. Chandalostu sadvijostu gururityesha manisha mama is how the refrain of that shloka. It does not matter whether it is a Chandala or a Dvija or somebody who is up in the social cadre. I consider whoever has this knowledge as my guru. Guruhu iti yesha manisha mama. My outlook is that he is my guru who is able to see Atma everywhere. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shwani chaiva shvapake cha panditaha samadarishinaha. With that, we'll conclude today. Sarve bhavantu sukinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Tatsat Krishnarpanamastu. Shankara Jayanti wishes and Ramanuja Jayanti wishes for you for today and tomorrow. There is some festivities in the temple. I have to look at the temple calendar for Shankara Jayanti and Ramanuja Jayanti. If you are available this weekend, please come and participate in it. Thank you.